Hi guys, hope everyone's well out there today and welcome back to another video on the Kemper. If you dig this video or any of my other stuff I'm putting out, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a great deal creating future content. So my last video was all about morphing and the feedback to that's been really great. Thanks for that. If my YouTube skills are any good, there'll be some sort of link up in this corner now. Please check that out if you want to find out a bit more about morphing or some creative uses of it. After that video, I got a message asking if I could go more into the setup of the Kemper, the menus, and some of the features that I've been using in the videos, like the one about my rig. Again, link up here, hopefully. So I'm going to go into that today. Now, I feel this video will be really good for people, anyone that's new to the Kemper, a bit of a sort of quick start guide to some of the features that are maybe hidden away in menus. But I also think it'd be good for people that have been into the Kemper but haven't really explored all the options that are in there through the menus and things. I know it took me a little while to get to grips with it. So there won't be much playing in today's video. It'll be more about shortcuts and different menu options. You can change it up to suit your preferences. So most of it will be shot down by the Kemper. I will divide it into sections as well so you can navigate to certain things or skip over certain parts if you already know it. And I really hope you get something through it. I'm gonna start off by showing you some of the hot buttons which I was using in the intro there to freeze the delay, and there's other ones. So we'll go down to the Kemper now and check it out. I'm going to call them hot buttons. I think that's an eventide thing, but I can't actually think what Kemper calls them. So what I mean by this is, for example, if you go into your effects here, I've got preset rotary speaker. So you just call up the rotary speaker, and if you see at the top here, it says rotary speed slow. So all you need to do to assign that to one of your buttons on your remote is exactly the same as you assign effects to it. You just hold down the button and push and you're away. So now you can see it changing between fast and slow. So another cool thing to do with these buttons, you go into delay, I'll just switch on my delay. You can see at the top there's a button that says freeze, and that's exactly the same thing. If you hold down the button on here and hold down the one on the foot switch, it will automatically freeze the delays and you can play over the top of them. I believe you can also do the same with the reverbs, not the legacy reverb, but the new ones. You can do the same with that, so that's a really cool effect. There's probably more hidden that I haven't discovered yet, but go on an adventure and see what you can find. Copy and pasting. If you're used to using computers, this isn't a new concept. It's very easy to use on the Kemper, but bear in mind there is some quirks. So say you want to copy this preset to another slot anywhere on the Kemper. I'm in performance mode now, by the way. You have to be on the main screen you click copy, and then you navigate to the slot that you want. I'm just going to go to the one next to it, but you can go to any bank and paste. And there you go. The copy and paste function also works for individual effects. So say I want whatever's in here. What have we got? We've got a rotary speaker. So as long as you're on the screen for the rotary speaker, you can press copy and you click on the new slot you want to put it into that says empty, and then paste, and you're away. Again, it doesn't have to be in the same preset. You can do it in a different preset. So for example, what we got here, we've got a wah wah. So we'll copy that, and then if we exit, we'll find another rig here. Press this button, paste is flashing, paste, wah wah, wah wah. Okay, the lock function is pretty handy. So say I'm on this preset and I want to audition new amps. If you watch, as I change amps, the effect slots all change with it to the preset's default settings. But if I turn on this delay and that compressor, if I now hold lock, you'll see lock the modules. So if I now lock the effects blocks, but leave the amp, EQ and cabinet open, release lock, I can now scroll through amps and my effects stay the same, which is great for auditioning new amps. If you've already got your pedals all set up, it's great just to try different sounds with the effects. You don't want to be reloading it all the time. Bear in mind this works across presets. So say you always want a wah-wah in your A block for all presets you create with those preset settings and assignments. All you do is hold lock. Your wah is now locked across all presets. So if I change rigs now, that will always be that wah-wah, always, even in blank slots. So that's pretty handy. Obviously you can lock the whole lot if you've got a sort of set of effects that you like. That's your pedal board locked in for any preset you create. So to change effects order, you can use the copy and paste function, but when you paste it, you'll lose the settings in the block that you're pasting to. So another alternative is, say I want to swap the order of the B and C. I just hold down stomps for a second. If you see at the top, these are the navigation bars. So I go to block B, press move effect, move it to the slot, press OK, and there we go. We've reversed B and C there. So if you're used to using a pedal board, you know that the order of effects makes a big difference. So you can do the same in the stomp block or the effects block. Unfortunately, you can't move blocks from here over to the effects section by doing this method, but there's always the copy and paste. So say you've got your profile and you like the way it sounds, but it's too toppy or too boomy and no amount of tweaking the EQ here is doing anything. I think what's often overlooked is if you go into the cabinet block here, so you just hold it down for a second, you've got this high shift and low shift. If your profile's sounding a bit toppy, knock that back just by a fraction. I mean, it's a very sensitive control to my ears. Or if you want a bit more top, you can knock that up a couple. Same with the bottom. If it's a bit boomy, just move this up by 1 or 2 and it really does tighten everything up. Characters a different control. It's hard to describe what it's doing, but it's some kind of EQ sweep worth investigating that with your ears. And then pure cabinet, which is linked to the pure cabinet in the output section. Again, something that I would encourage you to try on and off. So if you want to find global pure cabinet, you go into the output section. I'm already on the screen, but you just scroll pages. There's pure cabinet on and off, and then a level. I quite like it. It seems to take away some of the harshness. It's great for gigs in my in-ears. It makes it much more pleasing. I think I'm not sure exactly if it's just an EQ or if it's something to do with phasing, but I really like having a little bit on for live. But for studio, I take it off because you can hear much more of the profile as it was intended with it off. But again, it's completely up to you how you perceive it. It's all about your ears at the end of the day. Apologies if the angle's changed at all. My camera battery decided to die halfway through filming that. Right, so now I want to jump into the system menu. There's a lot of little things in here that you might want to tweak that you may not have known were there, or you didn't want to mess with until you knew exactly what it did. So, starting off, you've got your normal contrast, brightness and white balance for the screen. This is the brightness of your color LEDs for the Kemper, which is above the effects buttons. You've got your button strength, which is the white backlit buttons. LED color, which is around the game pot or around all of your knobs if you've got the toaster. And the tap button, I tend to leave that quite low because I don't like it flashing in the background at gigs. Over on the next page, you've got LCD color, which changes the color of your display on your Kemper. Plenty to choose from if you want to personalize it a bit. At the top, we've got signal LEDs blue, so your output and your input LEDs that flash as they detect signal. You can turn it so the standard color is blue and then red if it's clipping. I think normally it's green and red if it's clipping. At the top here as well, you've got rig button morph, which actually makes sure your remote, when you press your current preset, will morph. You can turn it off and use expression pedals, or if you don't use morphing, you can turn that off. There was a guy on the page having a bit of trouble with morphing. I think that might be to blame if that's not checked already. We're on the pedal links page now, and this and over the next couple of pages is where you set up all your expression pedals and foot switches and things, but there's a couple of buttons here that I think might get overlooked, and that allows different assignments for expression pedals and for your remote. So you've got things here like morph pedal to wah, wah pedal to pitch, so it'll automatically set up certain parameters to expression pedals or to your morph buttons on your remote, so that's worth looking at. I think pedal links and controller assignments is something you've got to delve into the menu for, and I'm not particularly good at it because I don't actually use any expression pedals with mine at the moment. The last page I want to cover in the system menu is the remote settings. This is where you've got your contrast, your brightness and your white LED level for the remote, but also buried here is the looper volume, which I think is quite important, and again, not the most intuitive place to have it perhaps. But yeah, that's where you control your output of your looper volume. You've also got your looper location button here, which sets it either on the input of the Kemper or the output. So if you set it on the input, it'll just be recording your dry guitar. If you set it on the output, it'll record all the effects as well. So hidden away up here in the button assignment menu, if you click on it, you've got reassignment for your looper button, your tuner button, and your tap tempo. So if you've got a remote and you don't use those buttons particularly for their intended purpose, you can reassign them to any number of things. They can be for, so on the tap tempo, we've got tap, tuner, stomps, looper mode, looper start, looper stop, morph, infinity delay, freeze, performance up, performance down. There's any number of things you can reassign it to. So that's worth investigating if you don't use those buttons that much. The last important button in this menu is the display layout button at the far side here. Lets you select between layout A and layout B. And what that does is on the remote with the screen, it will change the way things are displayed. In one mode, you've got more text information, and in the other mode, it shows you all of your effects blocks and things at the top. So it just depends on what you like to see when you're performing and what helps you out remembering what's where. So that about does it for today's video. Really appreciate you checking it out, and I really hope you got something from the video, even if it was just one thing that you didn't know. Please like and subscribe this video, and any suggestions are more than welcome for future content. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.